Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me. That's always like my biggest fear is that I knock out or lay down an hour of me talking to a camera and then I get done and check it and the audio either didn't come through or just came through like crap. So hopefully this is working. But either way, what's going on, guys? Captain Cody Davis back again for another episode of the Tight Splice Charters podcast. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Speaking of that, real quick little side note or just observation I've made. Like every one of my podcasts I put out get like 857 views. Like if you go back and look, like 9 of my podcasts have 857 views. So for the 857 of you that continuously tune into my podcast, I appreciate it. I know how a podcast is probably, or I'm a podcast junkie. I listen to them almost 24/7. It seems like I feel like I'm addicted to them, honestly. So I know and I can understand how hard it is to really get a podcast up off the ground and get it rolling. Uh, part of it is part of the problem for me is probably just posting it on only this platform here, which is YouTube, and not expanding to other platforms, which I really need to do. But yeah, either way, I don't know. I just think it's funny that I could literally put 2 podcasts out in a row. It's like 857, 850 views, and then put out a fishing video and it gets, 1,000 in the first 2 days, which is cool. I get it. Now, a lot of people aren't podcast people. My wife is not a podcaster at all. She can't stand that I even listen to them, but I'm really into them. But maybe, I feel like consistency is key. And yeah, maybe if I just keep putting them out, more people will like listening to these. And if I made them available on other platforms, that would probably help also. But either way, hope you guys are enjoying your 4th of July weekend. Hopefully none of you lost any limbs or just, fingers or anything. Or got burned or any injuries. I am sitting here in the house. Today is Sunday. And Breezy is down in the Keys with the baby and the family. I am here working. So I'm just sitting here actually sipping on some ice cold water because I don't know if any of you have been able to tell, but it is quite warm outside. The heat lately has been absolutely ridiculous. And I think the biggest factor along with that is, there's really no wind, which I'm not complaining about, as far as for fishing. Having little to no wind is awesome. For the most part. But man, it is terrible outside how hot it is. But I was just going to go somewhere with that, and I don't remember where I was going to go. But it's very hot outside. So I've just been chugging water for seems like 3 weeks now and can't get hydrated. So that's my big 4th of July celebration, really, is I gotta work. So I was actually off today, and I got to work the next 3 days. So I'm just hanging out here by myself. Figured I'd shoot a podcast, and then I'm going to be going to bed super early. Oh, that's where I was going to go with it. With it being hot, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So, been working like crazy, which is I'm very thankful for. We'll get into that in a minute, kind of how the trips have been going, what kind of trips I've been running, how the fishing's going, things like that. But I've been going. And Breezy was like, you're working all weekend. We're going to go down to the Keys, which is fine. Go ahead. And I said, all right, not that I don't love my son and I don't love my wife, but I said Sunday, which is today, I've got a day where I'm going to have an empty house. I can just sleep in till like 11:30 in the morning, which I can't possibly do anymore. Back when I was 21, I'd sleep 16 hours straight, no problem. Now, my body doesn't let me, but I could just sleep in, wake up, and sit on the couch and do nothing but just watch YouTube and just be lazy, like not go fishing. I'd probably, I would want to go fishing, but just have a relaxed day in the AC and just soak it up. Well, leading up to this weekend, we had a phenomena happen out front here. And by the term out front, I mean like off the east coast of Florida, between, really off the coast of like between Boca and Pompano Beach. I'm born and raised in Deerfield Beach. So we did a lot of saltwater fishing there. Um, this really, I'm going to say this phenomenon happened between really from like Boynton all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. The mutton snapper fishing has been absolutely insane. Like, to the point where people really have absolutely no idea what's going on. Where did all these, 8 to 15 pound muttons show up? And a mutton snapper is a very prized catch. Like, to be honest with you guys, they're one of the few fish that I really care to get in a boat and go offshore for anymore. I loved fishing for them when I lived on the coast, when I was living back at home. We target them a lot down in the Keys every weekend when we go down there, and I love them. I just love how you have to fish for them. They pull like, it's awesome how strong they are. I've taken trips down to the dry Tortugas and stuff chasing them. Who doesn't love a big snapper, right? And, a good day out front, if you caught a couple of good ones and maybe an 8 or 9 pounder, like, that's a good day. But what's been happening out here over the past 2 or 3 weeks is just incredible. And I figured, well, that's cool. But by the time Sunday comes, the bite's going to be over. Everyone's going to be on them and it's going to taper off. Well, my brother calls me yesterday, which is Saturday. I was actually out on a guide trip, and he called me being towed in by Sea-Tow because he was on our very good friend Bill's boat. His CV and his steering line just decided to explode. Luckily, we're very fortunate, which we'll get into. We don't have to travel very far to fish out front. So they were just a short tow in to the inlet and to Bill's house on the water. But he called me and he's like, yeah, we cut it short because there were some storms coming and the steering blew. So we called Sea-Tow right away and they were out at us for 5 minutes. But I think they had 11 muttons with like 4 people and they were all just, over 10 pounds. They were all big. Well, me knowing I was off today, I said, are you guys going tomorrow? He said, yes. So I got done with my trip. I got home. I threw the dogs in the truck and a pair of underwear and, 2 fishing rods and headed to my parents' house to spend the night, wake up this morning and go mutton fishing, which we did. And you know what happens? There's a rule in fishing. And maybe, and no offense, maybe there's a lot of you that, well, I guess it happens in bass fishing as well, but I feel like it's more on the saltwater side. But there's a big rule to where you never go chase a bite. And that's what I did. And it ended the way it typically does. It sucked. I shouldn't say it sucked. Let me stop right there. Like, I'm to the point now where I'm very fortunate where I get to fish more than the average person, right? I mean, I fish every day for work. I've on my days off, like, I can kind of go fishing whenever I want. And with bass fishing, not so much. I don't know why it is. With bass fishing, like, I want to catch them. But a lot of times, and I think this comes from me growing up on the pier. The camaraderie that comes with going fishing for maybe a certain type of fish, or in this case, with this group of people I was going with, I really don't care if we catch anything. I know we're going to laugh. I know we're going to talk a lot of shit. And, we're probably going to catch them. We're going to see some funny things. And so I was super excited to go, and it didn't suck. I ended up catching one. I don't know how big my mutton I caught was today. I caught a 9-pounder. A good one. I lost the man. Had a really good bite. But of course, my brother picks me up at 6:45. We make a short drive to his buddy's house. We load the boat, ice the boat down. We all have fresh bait. We rig the rods on the way out, make our short little scoot out to the spot that they have been killing these muttons, throw the hook, and there is absolutely no current. Now, any of you that know anything about saltwater fishing, especially bottom fishing, especially mutton fishing, current is key. And when I say we had none, you could have thrown this DOA Terrorize in 200 feet of water and hit the bottom, no problem. There was just no current. So needless to say, we kind of just floated around for 5 hours. We went to another area where they had caught some big ones. And like I said, I had a really big bite. I was definitely a big mutton. It ended up spitting, pulling the hook. And then me and my brother doubled up. He caught one probably 7 pounds, and I caught one between 9 and 10 pounds. So that was cool. Made the trip. Actually, Bill's dad was on the boat as well. Bill's the owner of the boat, our really long time friend. And his dad caught a just keeper in the morning. I ended up catching a kingfish. So, besides it being literally 104 degrees with not a stitch of wind and no current on just a busy, busy ass Saturday out in the ocean, we had fun. I grew up fishing. Again, I'm very fortunate in a couple ways. Like where we grew up, or where I was born and raised, like we fished in 104 feet of water today, and I'm gonna stretch it and say we were a mile offshore, and I bet you we were closer to like 3/4 of a mile offshore. We're in 100 feet of water. Where I grew up, I mean, and I said it today because it's been a while. It's been a I don't know how long it's been since I've been out front. My best friend, who I ended up hanging out at his house the night before. So last night before we went fishing today, because I haven't seen him in a while. He's a commercial fisherman. I mean, and he's my best friend. So like, my brother got an offshore boat. He's got a bay boat like mine, but it's more of an offshore boat. His best friend Bill, whose boat we were on today, he's got a 34 CV. Like, I know tons of people with boats. Like I can go. I could have went out there in my boat today, no problem. But life happens. I'm busy. We got married with a baby, a house, work, you name it. But so today was my first time being off where I used to fish, and I don't know how long. And just like, I guess the older you get, the more like you don't take things for granted. Just like being in the boat, idling through the no wake zones, through Pompano, through the canals, looking at all the houses and all the crazy center consoles and everything. Like, I feel like a lot of people that have never been to our area there just like would think that's so crazy. Like the amount of money in the town, and just, like in the morning we're loading the boat. There's 70-pound tarpon rolling, literally I could poke them with the rod in the canal that the boat's on. We had a huge snook. I don't know how big he was, but you could see him head waking down the canal. Of course, I stopped, picked up a big fluke style bait like this, made the cast to him, and I landed right on his head and spooked him. But just all this little stuff, you idle out the inlet, you're waving to like people, like there's just boats going and fueling up, buying bait, charters going out. And then you just make a short little run we went out of Hillsborough Inlet, and we're in 104 feet of water. There's kingfish skying on ballyhoo, saw a tailing sailfish, and we're catching mutton. It's just a really cool fishery. Just where we're located is it's a super cool place, and there's so much opportunity. It is not what it used to be. It is crowded. The shark problem is bad, but I think it's like you know people are going to bitch about it more who actually live there full time and fish it every day. But like when you take a step away from it, like I have, and you go out, it's just like I said. We laid the boat down. I'm like, I don't think we know how fortunate we are that we have this at our doorstep. It's an hour drive from me now, right? Woohoo! It's not that big of a deal, but it used to be a 3-minute drive. I mean, I lived 8 blocks from the beach my whole life. Because I get all of you on the boat from all over the country that do saltwater fish and fish just all over. And it's like, yeah, we had to run 60 miles to get to 40 feet of water to catch some strawberry grouper. I tell everybody, my first sailfish, my first mahi, my first kingfish, my first a lot of fish like that were all caught standing on the Deerfield Pier in 15 feet of water. I mean, the end of our pier is in 15 to 17 feet of water, which that alone is crazy. But then you take that, but also like these species, certain times of year when the conditions line up, will come in that shallow. I don't know. It's just really, it just felt cool to get out there and get, and go fishing, and then fish with my brother. Obviously, it's always a good time. We growing up. So we lived 5 houses from each other. My brother's much older than me. He might get pissed if I say that. He's not much older than me. I don't even know how old he is, but um, he, he lived 5 houses from me my entire life. So literally, even when I was in school, it was like, if it wasn't a school night, if it was a Friday night, or, then once I got old enough where I was in high school, my parents were like, whatever, if you're going to be a zombie tomorrow at school, like, just, if your grades are all right, you're good. I could literally, like, on a Wednesday, either he had a center console at the time or Bill had a center console. My brothers had more boats than like lures I've owned, and same with Bill. And, like, hey, we're going yellowtailing tonight. You want to go? We're going to go troll for tuna this afternoon. You want to go? And again, going back to our location, like, this time of year, it gets dark at 8:30. I'd get out of school at 3. You could literally get out of school, or I could, and they'd wait on me. Get out of school, go to the tackle shop and get whatever we need. If we needed boxes of chum or bait, get to the boat, launch the boat. You have to go through a zone of no wake zones and residential canals, hit the inlet, and then be fishing and get 3 hours of fishing. And because our fishing area is so accessible, it's so close. And we did that for years growing up. So it was cool to get out there with Bill and his dad, and we all just talk shit and laugh and whatever. Everyone was in a little bit more slow motion because of the heat and because I think they stayed up drinking a little bit too much the night before, but that's all part of it too. So it was fun. So caught a couple muttons today. Got to get out on the ocean, get a little bit of different scenery, and I think they're planning on maybe going tomorrow, but I got to work the next week, so I don't think I'll be doing that. So that was cool. I thought about bringing the GoPro and making a video, but I thought I was going to jinx the bite, which ended up being jinxed anyway. But B, I just wanted a day to just enjoy fishing and hang out and not have to worry about putting cameras on Bill's boat. I just wanted to relax and fish, and that's what I did. So super fun. Got to hang out with my parents, eat dinner with them, and now I'm home. But long story short, 20 minutes into my mutton fishing day, I'm driving home, and it's just quiet. I had the dogs with me in the truck. I literally didn't listen to a podcast. I just drove home in silence, just like, I don't know, thinking to myself. And I'm like, I'm going to walk in that house, I'm going to sit on the couch and just watch TV in the AC and just relax. And I come home and I'm having air conditioning problems. So if I'm sweating, it's hot as hell in here, but I'm just decided to get on here and do a podcast. So that's why also I am drinking. I'm not drinking an adult beverage. We're drinking water. So, plan on making some videos from back there at home. That's always going to be home to me, is Deerfield. And, having some more off days here. I definitely want to get over there and fish with buddies, or even just take my boat, take you guys down some canals I used to tarpon fish in. Me and Breezy might go and pull around for some tarpon or big snook, go mutton fishing. I want to go one night and go commercial sword fishing with one of my best friend there. I've never done it. He's literally, any of you, I don't know who all watches my podcast. My buddy's Connor Porter. He's arguably like the fishiest person on the planet, and always has been. And like, he literally asks me all the time, like, hey, like, I'm going tonight, if you want to just hop on and go and pull on some of these things. And I'm just never able to go. And I've never been a part of a swordfish capture, really. So hooked them and things like that, but it's just never worked out. So I kind of want to go film a video for you guys with that. That's super interesting in itself. But yeah, so hopefully that comes down the pipe. Breezy's been in the Keys. We don't know what's going on with the Keys. I only went down one weekend so far, but going to be down there for a little while in the next coming weeks. Hopefully get some videos for you guys there, but we can't get on any fish down there at all. And we usually do. It's all usually for us in the Keys. Again, very blessed that my in-laws have a place down there. We go down almost every weekend. We don't have a problem catching fish. We usually do very well on dolphin, and we've got some mangrove snapper spots that are insane and do well on them. And like, But now it's to the point where like last year we tried to branch out from things, like try different deals, try doing some different fishing and stuff. And we did pretty well. And now this year we just started, of course everyone's excited to get down there. So they've just started from like what they're been doing, dolphin fishing, going mangrove fishing. The fishing's just been super slow for whatever reason. So hopefully that turns around. But anyway, I digress on that. Okeechobee, or just, well, I guess we'll just talk about work. Lake Okeechobee is in its typical, well, I shouldn't say its typical summer pattern. It's like 50% in it. So what's been happening with me is, I guess, over the past week. So at first, the only way I was able to catch any fish was flipping. All right. So I was running a lot of trips where I was kind of teaching people to flip. But on top of that, like even if they didn't really know how to flip, it was the only way I could get bit for the most part. That and a frog, but it was primarily flipping. So those first 2 hours of the morning were crucial. Had the bluegills up feeding on chizzywinks and things on some certain stretches, and we would just beat these certain lines to death. But we were slowly picking away at some fish, and then obviously with when you're doing that technique, the odds of you swinging the bat and it being a giant are relatively high. So that's what we were doing for a while. I don't know if any of you saw like the last video I put out. I went out for, I don't know, a couple hours, whatever it was, and ended up getting only one bite, but it was a 9-pounder. So that's kind of where your mindset is. It's like you just got to mentally stay in it, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it's a grind out there. Kind of moving through, I finally ended up finding a couple groups of fish that were feeding up on shad. So I finally found a little shad spawn deal in a couple different areas of the lake. So that's kind of what I've been starting on. But now once you start on the shad spawn thing, it's a little bit more fast and furious. But now when it comes time to go to flipping, now you've wasted those couple hours in the morning where they were getting some bites. And now it's like, it's the true definition of a grind. Like your confidence is almost like out the window right off the bat. But I can only take you to fish what I know and what fish I am on. And that's kind of all I've been on. So that's what we've been doing. The last 2 times I was on the lake. Today's Sunday. I haven't been on the lake since Thursday. And we did good. Some good fish on the shad spawn deal. A lot of time I tell people the shad spawn fish are relatively small, but you can catch a lot of them. When we caught a 5.5 and a 4, I think, in the morning on Thursday, and the day before we caught like 15 pounds. Then we caught 16 or 17 pounds on Thursday, I believe, and 15 pounds on Wednesday. So that was cool. And then on Tuesday, we probably caught 15 pounds in a different spot. So that was kind of neat. So I don't know. That was it. Monday, I fished with my buddy Dan, and he wanted to learn how to flip. He got the feel for it. He's been catching them all week doing it, so that was cool. We just had a slick. I mean, it was literally slick as glass. I was gonna say I could put that clip in there, but I don't think I saved it because I was literally taking video of the lake. It was like a mirror. Had a little group of tarpon following us around in the lake, so that was neat. But they wouldn't eat anything. So it's been difficult, guys. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a grind. My trip tomorrow is with a group. I've never taken 2 of the people, but it's a 3-person trip. And the one gentleman going, we had like 34 pounds. It was insane, and all on a frog. And it was right when the lake was just fishing incredible. And I'm going to tell him first thing in the morning, like, do not expect that. But you never know. It's Okeechobee. I've told this story. I don't know if I've ever told it on here, but Ben, if you're listening, my good buddy Ben Dorton, he had booked a trip with me, and he's a very good fisherman. He's a very good friend of mine. I consider him now. And he wanted to go fishing on, I believe, a Friday or a Thursday. And I know I had fished the 2 or it might have been 3 days leading up to his trip, and we literally never had a bite. It might have been 2 days. I don't think I've been 3 days without a bite. I think I ran 2 trips where we never had a bite. And I got home that night and I sat on my couch and I said, you know what? He lives here. He's a local. He's not like, hey man, I'm flying in. I'm down here for a wedding. The wedding's on Wednesday, but I have Tuesday open. My dream's to fish Okeechobee, but it's the only day I got. Are you available? That's different. We're going to go out there and try to make it happen and make the best of it because you're limited. But when you live here, sometimes, and a lot of you listening know, I'll call you and hey, it sucks. It is very tough. Do you want to just reschedule? I don't, And I sat down. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do that. I got stuff around here I can do it. I'll never forget. He texted me this sounds like a story, but as I got ready to text him, he texted me, work's been a bitch. I'm super stoked to just get out on the water tomorrow. Where time are we meeting? What do I need to have tied on? And where are we meeting? So I said, you know what? Let's just go. And I picked him up that morning in Clewiston, and I said, hey man, like we're just gonna go wing it because I was gonna tell you last night, but I didn't want to just put you in the dirt and upset you and cancel on you because you sound like you're excited to go. But I haven't had a bite in 2 days, and we literally ran to a spot, and him, not both of us fishing, him by himself caught 26 and a half pounds in like 20 minutes. So that's that sounds like a fish story, but that's what I tell a lot of you when you get in the boat and it's tough or it's been tough. Like you truly never know. Just like, that last Roland Martin's tournament, me and Kelly had a decent practice going into it. And at 2:30, we did not have a limit. We had 3 fish that I, honest to God, tell you, we had to measure on a golden rule to make sure they were 12 inches. And we were doing at 3:30. We made a run at 2:30 to a different area. At 10 to 3, I caught a 4-pounder, and at 3:10, 20 minutes later, I caught a 9. Now, we didn't get a check. We had 16 pounds because we had those 3 dinks. But a 9-pounder is a 9-pounder. When are you not excited to catch a 9-pounder? And when we're fishing and you're on my boat, we are not in a tournament 99% of the time. So that's the fish you're fishing for. So it can happen that quick out here on this lake. Again, going back to our amazing fishery down here in South Florida, we're blessed with that. Where you honestly have a chance at catching a giant fish like that. And I say she was a 9. She was 889, but she had coughed up a cichlid in the live well. Or a shad, I forget what it was. You couldn't really tell what it was. But she was 889, and there was 3 fish bigger than mine weighed in. So there's a lot of them out here. So that's just, it's just been keeping your head in it. Now, with that being said, this heat has been crazy. So I've really only been fishing 4-hour days. It's not even healthy nor safe to stay out there longer than that. It's been so damn hot. So any of you that have trips coming up, or if you book me anytime between now and September, I'd plan on a 4-hour day. I mean, if you want to fish 6, we can, but it's just, I'm telling you, it's been a freaking grind. The past 2 days, I've actually been in the Everglades doing some peacock fishing, which is usually not a big deal. It's usually a lot of fun. It's a little bit of a change of pace for me and the customers and things like that. But between the freeze we had this winter, where we lost a lot of them, and between just high water, moving water, all of our waterways are connected down here in South Florida, and they're just moving a lot of water around right now between the rain and not putting water on the coast because the people are getting mad and everything like that, which they should be. That wasn't a stab at the coast. That's a topic for another day. Not even getting into that, but they're moving water around, which a lot of people would think, oh, well, flowing water, they're going to bite. They don't. For whatever reason, fish in the Everglades, the sections of the Everglades that I fish, they don't like moving water. I can't explain to you why. So we ended up, a couple buddies of mine, Captain DJ Timms, who was on my snook video with me. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go back and watch it. Even if you're not a snook fisherman, there's some really cool forward-facing sonar footage on there. Super fun day. Me and him need to get back out and do that. But I made a call to him, and he made another call to a buddy of ours, Brett Isaacson. Gave me some little info and a couple spots, and we went to him and milked them for 2 days. Here's the deal. I shouldn't say we didn't catch a lot. The first trip I ran, I think we caught like 12 or 15, but they're all just good peacocks, like all like 3 pounders and up, which is, for a peacock is big down here. And then the next day we caught a lot more, but again, just good quality fish, which was fun. But I just got off the phone with a gentleman looking to book a trip, and I was honest with him. I'm like, man, like it's hard for me to take your money for a trip where it's like we have one spot. And I ran around. So on Saturday, I ran around trying to find me a new stretch. I don't know why it's ending up like that, but they're just not really biting. And a lot of the areas are they're blown out due to just rushing water. Same thing on Okeechobee. I kind of got off of that, but Lake Okeechobee, like besides the shad spawn, everything's out of whack because the water should be dropping and should be very low, and instead it's coming into the lake at a very high rate, and it's very high already. I haven't checked it in a couple days, but we're probably close to 15 foot already. If I'm sweating at 7 a.m. in a t-shirt and shorts, idling out of Rollins and have to lock through, that is terrible. Now we're not there yet, but something tells me we're going to be very soon, and it's not good. It's not that it's not good for us fishermen. It's definitely making the fishing way more challenging, for sure, without a doubt. But the hell with that. We can adapt. We can figure it out. But it's not good for the lake. This is when the new grass grows. This is when the new growth happens. The lake needs to be as low as possible right now, and instead it's the highest I can remember it being, at this time of the year. So we'll see what's going on there. But that's kind of the report. Is don't get discouraged. You just need to fish. Kelly was supposed to fish this weekend. I'll have to call him tomorrow, see if he did fish, see if he found anything. It's not going to help you guys because I'm not going to call him on the podcast, but see if he found anything. There are little secret pockets of fish popping up that people are catching and keeping hush hush. I know that for a fact. So you just got to get out there and look. And, standard thing in the summer, for me at least, when you find one, you're finding a little wad of them. So that helps any of you guys. Oh. But besides that, sorry, feel like I'm itching, I'm sweating. It's like 80 degrees in my house right now. And I got the AC turned off and the fans running. My AC froze up trying to deal with that. But I didn't even mention we got a new backdrop. I don't know what you guys think about that. Just moving some stuff around, trying to make this a little bit more official, I guess. This it's kind of like my little desk. It's actually, you guys can't see what I'm looking at, but it's kind of makeshift a little bit, but it works a little better. Got my pallet wood wall, very trendy here. And we'll kind of add to this backdrop here as we continue with the podcast. As for now, we just got old Mr. Bass back here. I don't know what we're going to name him yet, but Breezy got me that for Father's Day. Just a really cool piece. It's can't remember the guy's name. I'll put his name in the description below. So we have like 3 pieces from this guy. He's in Alabama. I think it's called Alabama Burned Wood or something. And this is essentially just a carved and burnt piece of wood. This one's actually painted. He painted this one, but we've got a pelican and I think a snook out on our porch that all he does is like shape the wood and burn it. Really cool pieces. But I wanted to add some stuff over in here, some trinkets and photos or whatever, but I just don't want to rush it. I don't want to hang stuff and then it'll look goofy and have to take it down. So slowly but surely we'll add some stuff over here maybe. But either way, right now this works good for now. But I don't know. Really all I've got to really go over here. Apologize, I'm still a pain to get a hold of. I know I mentioned this in every freaking podcast, but yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Actually, I'm making moves to try and figure out how I'm not keeping you guys waiting as far as dates and things like that. But just bear with me with that. I know I'm a pain in the ass to get a hold of. Texting is the deal. That's how I know if you're a YouTube subscriber when you book me, is because you'll text me. all these people keep calling and calling and calling and emailing. I get it. And I do get back to them, but I tell everybody I can get back to you much quicker if if you text me. And uh, I maybe I sound like a broken record because here's the deal. Like I don't know how much of my business comes from here on YouTube, but it's a lot. But I do get a lot of people that don't find me on YouTube. They have no idea I have a YouTube channel. They find me, just see my pictures on social media, or they get recommended to me. And but again, like the I just feel like over the past couple of months, I feel like I've had some customers that just feel like this is Lake Okeechobee, so I'm going to throw a frog out there and a 9 pounder is going to eat it. I mean, this is difficult. Like it's a tough lake to fish, especially if you're from out of state. Um, and it's not dropping real action all day. You got to work for it, especially right now. So it's just weird when people ask me like, "Hey, how's the fishing?" And I say, even when like the lake was absolutely popping off. What was it back in when we had that record Rollins tournament, right? You could everyone was catching giants. And if when people asked me then, I said I mean, look at the weights. It's phenomenal. That doesn't mean that just anybody can come out here and catch them. You know, those 20 bags over 30 pounds in that tournament were caught by some of the best fishermen on Lake Okeechobee, and for the most part, caught by anglers that do nothing but fish Lake Okeechobee and the areas around it. It's a very different style of fishing. It's I don't know. Like I've just had people asking to like, we're catching them on a frog and then they say, "Oh, well, I want to throw a fluke." Well, okay, that's fine. But then they bring their spinning rod with eight 8 pound fluorocarbon on it, which that's fine. Also, that's on you. But then they're losing fish. They're getting hung. I had a customer the other day who was frustrated that we were in the grass and wanted to fish open water. So I tried to take him trapping in some boat lanes, and he was still frustrated. Like, no, I don't want to be around the grass. And how do you know, maybe I'm too nice of a guy. How do you explain like, no, our fish live in the grass, and the water out here is mud. So next thing I know, I'm out, um, just out in front of Westwall, just floating around in the abyss, letting this guy throw a crankbait, and then he's wondering why we're not catching anything. I've seen a lot of, and it's not even really as much with me, but I've been seeing a lot of people trying to guide the guides, whether it's been in saltwater when I've been over snook fishing or even out on the lake. Like people just, I don't know. I think it's the internet. I think like it's definitely the internet because I've even had a few people on my boat, not lately, but just over time that will try to guide me. It's like they'll ask for a specific bait and like, why do they want that? But then I'm like, oh, they must. And then eventually it'll come out. Oh, I watched this guy on YouTube and this is what he uses. Um, I had a customer the other day ask for a specific bait. He said, do you have this? And I said, I do, but I probably wouldn't use that here because of what's happening. I said, no, well, so and so uses it on YouTube. So I really want to use it. Okay. And then I dug through the boat and picked up the bait. And he said, oh, I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know it looked like that. I don't want to throw that. But just because he's heard a certain angler on YouTube say the name of this bait over and over, he doesn't even envision what it is, but he just wants to throw that because he throws it. And then I show it to him. He's like, oh, I didn't know it looked like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy what's happening. And if you come on my boat, as dumb as this sounds, and as much as you don't believe it, I want you to catch fish more than you yourself want you to catch fish. And that goes for any full time fishing guide in the world. There is not a worse, and a lot of people, I think guides get a bad rap. It's like anything in life. There's good ones and bad ones. I'm very pro police. There's shitty cops. There's terrible school teachers. There's terrible managers at stores. There's terrible waitress and waiters at restaurants. In anything in life, there's people that suck at what they do, and guiding is no different. There are terrible guides out there. There's guides that are over their job. There's guides that really don't want to be doing it. There's guides that just bring their home life to work with them and give attitude to their clients and things. I'm here to tell you, I'm not one of them. I love what I do, and I take my job very, very seriously, and most guides do. So there is not a worse feeling in the world than your customer not catching fish. I promise you. It is you feel it's like when you have to deliver bad news at your job and you just thinking about it all day, or it's a feeling in your gut and you can't stand it and your mind's going a mile a minute. And to no offense to the customer, there's times where, again, we'll go back to flipping or maybe ripping a chatterbait out of grass, right? Maybe there's a time where that bait, like ripping a chatterbait out of grass, I have a spot. We can go catch 20, 25 pounds right now ripping a chatterbait out of the grass. But the customer on the boat's skill set does not allow him to be able to use that technique. Now, that's not his fault at all. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just beginning. Maybe he has a bad shoulder, so he can't rip the chatterbait. Maybe whatever it is. And that's not his fault or her fault whatsoever. But man, it's like, oh, you can't do that. So now I got to try and adjust and figure. And that's part of being a guide, right? But when your customer's not catching fish, it's a terrible feeling. So no one wants no one wants you to catch fish more than us, the guide. And just know that. A good guide's going to do everything he can, put you on them. And, I'm no different. And I don't tell my customers what to do. A lot of you that fish with me know that. Like if you say, hey, I want to try this, feel free. This is your day. Okay, this is your day. I might tell you what I think you should do, but it's customer's always right? It is your day. So, and a lot of times I might learn something, like maybe a technique that I wouldn't throw, you want to do it, and you might crush them. So I always let you experiment in things. But it was funny. I don't know if he's listening or not, but it's not down talking or talking bad about my customer. I took and I don't even remember their names now. They'll probably know who I'm talking about, but it was a father and son the other day. And, the dad was just looking to pick up tips and stuff. And it was awesome. Like he caught fish on baits and techniques and things that he hadn't done before. And he was like, man, I learned a lot. That's great. And he had a son with him. And, typical kid, right? I forget how old he was. He was a little youngster. And he just like wouldn't listen to dad on what to throw, And his dad was like, hey, son, you should probably throw this. Like, captain's telling you what to use, and the kid just wanted to keep switching it up. And I was the same way, right? When you're young, you don't have patience. Like, you throw a lure. Like, I used to joke I had to respool my reel every day because I'd cut all the line off from retying. And that's just part of it, And I was talking to the dad afterwards. I'm like, it's funny. I feel like the best way to teach them is if you tell him to throw a Zara spook and he throws it twice, cuts it off, puts on a buzzbait, cuts it off, puts on a swim jig, cuts it off, and doesn't throw the spook again, the best way you can get him to throw a Zara spook is for you to catch a big one on a Zara spook. And I feel, but and I told him, I said, he's 8. or 9, however old he was. Um, Great little kid. I said, but I have 50, 60-year-old men do this every day. It's you tell them something and they want to switch. And, I get customers that get pissed at me that I don't have a particular bait in the boat. Like in my text that I send you guys, the night or two before, I'll have everything you guys need in the boat, rods, reels, if you want to bring your own. Suggest bringing your own if you're able to. That way you don't have to dial mine into your liking. We'll have a cooler with ice, bottled water, blah, 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 all the nonsense. And, we get out there, like, you have this isn't working. You got a curly tail grub? No, I don't have that. And they'll literally get pissed that I don't own a curly tail grub. Well, I don't fish Lake Champlain, so I don't have a curly tail grub. Will it work? Yeah, it might work. But we throw Senkos, we throw burner worms or speed worms. I don't have a curly tail grub in the boat. I'm sorry. And they'll get pissed. But I'll tell them, listen, we've been catching them on this bait. Throw it. But then they're so offended that I don't have a green pumpkin, chartreuse tail, curly tail grub in the boat that they're not listening to anything I'm telling them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't even know where I went off on that tangent. I just feel like I've had people that have just been not all with me, but I've been listening to it. Like customers try to guide the guide. Don't do that. If he's a bad guide, well, then you messed up and booked a bad guide. But if he's a good guide, he wants you to catch fish worse than you do. So just pick up what he's putting down. We don't want to tell you what to do. We're going to tell you what we recommend, but that's probably what you should do. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to tell you to throw things that don't catch fish. So yeah, I had a customer one time. I've told this story before. I might have told it on here. I don't know, but I tell my customers. I had this guy, and he had a buddy with him, and we were in this particular area of the lake. He might be watching this. I don't know. And I told him to throw a lure, a bait. It was a swim jig. We'll just go out and say it. It was a black and blue swim jig. Catch fish on a black and blue swim jig. And the whole day of the trip, he's telling me about a family member or a friend or a term. I don't remember. It was somebody. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. And we get to a spot as he goes, so what are we going to throw? And I said, I'm going to have one of you start with a Big Easy and one of you throw a swim jig. I've been catching more fish on the Big Easy, but they're typically smaller right now. But I've been getting bigger ones, slow rolling a swim jig. So the one guy throws Big Easy. The other gentleman picks up, I give him the swim jig. And I'll never forget, he held it, and it didn't have a trailer on it. He kind of looked at it, and he said, this. I said, yep. He said, it's a little big. And I said, yeah. I mean, I guess, it's half ounce. And I said, can you just take a step forward from me, boss? And I reached in and grabbed a trailer, and I put the trailer on, and his eyes got big. And I never forget, he looked at me and said, we muskie fishing? I said, no. Like, he was all serious. He said, I gotta. And he made a phone call on the boat and FaceTimed this other person. And the person on the boat said, there is no way in hell, it was something like that. He used some kind of profound word, that a largemouth will track that down and eat that. You're going to scare more away than you're going to scare more fish away than you're going to catch with that bait. And they laughed and like kind of shit talked me on the boat. And he said, what else you got? And I said, man, whatever's in that compartment, you want to throw it, you let me know, and I'll put it on there for you. So he ended up finding a speed worm or a burner worm or something. I put that on. And he ended up, I think he needed like a left-hand reel, and I only had like one on the boat that day because I messed up. So I ended up having to cut the speed, whatever. So I took the swim jig, and I asked the other gentleman who he was with, if he wanted to throw it. And he said, no, I kind of like the sound that this Big Easy swim bait's making. So I said, okay. So I tied the swim jig on another rod. And a couple minutes in, I decided I was going to fish too. Like, again, I don't, here's the deal, guys. When I'm, real quick, sidebar before I finish the story, when I'm fishing on a guide trip, I'm not really fishing. As dumb as that sounds, I know this is going to sound like an excuse. It sounds like you're just saying that so that you get to fish. It's not. Again, going back to, I want you to catch fish. You typically never see me, besides flipping, throwing the exact same thing you guys are, right? If I say, hey, man, they're eating a black popping frog real good, and I'm not tying black popping frogs on for you guys, tying a black popping frog on for me and fishing. That's not what I do. Unless I'm asked. Some customers are like, I want you to fish with us. Then you don't have to twist my arm. But I don't do it just to do it. Typically, I'll say, all right, you throw a burner worm and you throw a chatterbait, and I'm going to throw a spinnerbait. And if I throw out there 3 times and I catch 3 fish and you guys don't get bit, well, guess what's getting tied on your rods? Spinnerbaits. And that's what most guides do, because every day is different. Or I might say, hey, we caught 25 pounds on a spook yesterday. So I'll start you guys out with spooks, and I might throw a chatterbait and I might catch 30 pounds. Or, I would think I wouldn't catch 30 pounds before I switched you guys. But if I caught 2 6-pounders, then I might tie chatterbaits on for both of you. Now we might catch 30 pounds. I might have found a better bait, or, and it might work for you guys. But typically I'm going to tie on the bait that we've been producing on the customer's rods, right? That's what you do. So when I'm fishing, I'm typically not actually fishing. I'm more or less just trying to pick up what's going on the water. With flipping, right? The more people flipping, the quicker you'll pick things up. Some days they're in the Kissimmee grass, some days they're more in the reeds. Some days they want a jig, some days they want a beaver. If you guys are flipping a beaver, I'll flip a jig. If you guys are flipping a jig, I'll flip a beaver. If I see you guys flipping the Kissimmee grass, I'll just try to pick out the round reeds. I'll try to target points. I'll see you guys hopping the bait. I'll dead stick it. See what I'm saying? That's the point of it. So I'll be honest, half the reason was to see if they were going to eat the swim jig in the store. The other half was like, I hope one eats it so that I can show you they eat it. And I'll never forget, like, I ended up catching a giant on it. And I'm not being petty, but I showed, and the jig was down the throat. Like, she crushed it. And I forget, I said, I want you to FaceTime your buddy and show that to him, like, kind of laughing about it. But the fact that this guy would pay his hard-earned money to get in a boat with me, to take him out into Lake Okeechobee, and when I tie him on the bait, he has to call and wake a friend up and show him to okay the bait. That's a little crazy. And then asked if I could tie something else on for him. He's a super nice guy. I don't know if he's listening to this or not, and it's fine if he is. I really enjoyed having him on the boat. He ended up catching fish. He ended up catching them on a swim jig. Caught some on a speed worm. Caught him on a little bit of everything. But just, I don't know why people feel like they need to do that. But maybe that was just a vent session for me. But I don't know. I think that's about all I have for this one. I'm still sweating. It's so hot in my house. I got to, I'm probably going to quit this, try to upload it, go mess with my AC, and I'm probably going to go to bed because I got to be up early to go take these people fishing. Start on the shad spawn. Probably going to be crowded tomorrow because I think tomorrow is technically a holiday, right? I think the Tuesday is 4th. So is everyone off tomorrow? Maybe not. I don't know. I get spoiled fishing during the week. So hopefully maybe it's not too crowded tomorrow. But either way, if you guys want to get out on Okeechobee with me, shoot me a text message. That's just the fastest way for me to get to you. Is I don't need to know how many classics you've won in your club. I don't need to know your PB. I don't need to know, I don't need to know everything about you. Just text me. Hey, Cody, my name is such and such. How'd I jump into it today? It was awesome. He called me. I didn't answer. I was offshore. We had the music blaring. Text me, Cody, such and such here, interested in Fishing Okeechobee with you. I'm going to be down there for 3 weeks between here and here. Let me know what you got open. Dang. Like that's, and I texted him right there. Hey man, I'm out on the water. I'll give you a call as soon as I get home. And then typically what I do is I get in my book and I could text him what I have open. He'll text me. And then if I'm available right then, I'll say, hey, are you available for a call? I'll give you a call. You can Zelle me the deposit, or I can get a credit card over the phone from you. I can answer any questions you have. If not, if he's not available right now, or if I'm not available right now, I'll say, listen, I got you in the book. The baby's crying. We're cooking dinner, whatever. You're in the book. Your date is secured. You're good. You don't have to stress about that. Maybe maybe tonight, or maybe even tomorrow or the next day, I'll have a minute. I'll give you a call and I'll answer any questions you have. We'll go over kind of what I foresee the trip being like, what kind of fishing we're going to be doing and things like that. Text me. I know that's not professional. I know I should be answering my phone and stuff, but I'm never sitting here at a table. I'm always running around. So text me. I greatly appreciate, like, honestly, like just all the people I've met, all the positive support on the YouTube channel here with the podcast, just running into you guys at the boat ramp, whatever. I really mean it when I say it. You know, I hear a lot of these pros say it and stuff, and YouTube guys, and it's like I almost feel like they feel like they have to say it. But truly, 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 thank you guys so much. Like, I seriously, and I mean this, I'm not trying to like just be bashful or anything. Like, I really cannot believe how many people care to listen to what I have to say, or what I have to post, or watch me fish. And I really, really can't believe how many people want to pay me money to take them fishing. When I hear that I taught you something, when you caught your biggest bass ever because of something I showed you, or you caught it on my boat, whatever. It really, 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 really means a lot to me, for real. I mean, it's just a super cool feeling, and just all the people I've met that I now consider friends. You know, all you repeat customers of mine, or that are just, you know, we're buddies now. I mean, I have to get paid because it's my line of work, but I just thoroughly enjoy going out and fishing with you guys. And real quick on that, I'll touch on that real quick. I tell you to text me. I think it is so cool that, like, again, going back to being friends, like all of you that, you know who you are, that like we share pictures with each other. We shoot the shit. We shoot funny messages. I love that aspect of it. That it's not just like, hey, I paid this guy to go fishing and now I'm never going to hear from him again. Like, I think it's so cool that you guys can send me pictures of new baits you found, or your new boats, or your new trolling motor, or send me a picture of the bag you caught on Okeechobee in your club tournament, or hey, I went and fished Toho in a club tournament, never been there before, and I caught 23 pounds on a frog. Like, that's cool. I enjoy all, like, getting all that. I think it's cool that you guys care enough about to show it to me, but B, I just think it's like a good, cool, like, relationship, right? Like, when it comes to tackle shops, I always say, like, go to a mom and pop shop. Like, I used to work at Bass Pro and all these big name stores, but like Mike Krause, like at Fishing Headquarters, I think it's cool that if you go in there on a Tuesday at 5 a.m., there's 4 guys in there drinking coffee, talking about the lake, right? That vibe, that camaraderie, going full circle here in this podcast, like going back to like just the camaraderie. I mean, just hanging out, talking is something that's lost in the United States anymore, with all these big corporate stores. Like, you know, I remember, like, when I worked at Bass Pro Shops down in Fort Lauderdale, I wouldn't have to get to work till 2 sometimes. And there'd be days where I'd go hang out at TNR Bait and Tackle from 10 to 1:30, just sitting in the shop on a stool, just like I am now, bullshitting with Jeff and Mike and George, just talking snook fishing, talking about just fishing in general for hours in a store. Paid employees working, we're shooting the shit, talking, people coming in, going out, buying this, buying that. And it was a hang. Work had to get done, but it was a hang. And then I'd go to work, and if I talked to a customer for more than 3 minutes, my boss was like, get back to work. And that's with every business, and my business is no different. Like, I don't really want it to where you pay me for 4 hours of fishing and then you just, you're not talking to me anymore. I like that you could just the amount of people that I get to talk to and meet, and now I consider friends. But I just want you to know, don't think I ever am ignoring you guys because I'm a jerk. I wanted to use another word there, but I didn't. Or I don't have time for you or anything like that. But you got to remember, I've been in business now 4 years. There's a lot of people that I consider friends now. So I get a lot of texts, I get a lot of messages, I get phone calls, I get a lot of pictures sent to me. So it's kind of a lot. But I want you to keep sending them. But just know that if you send it to me, I saw it. Maybe I'm not good about replying to your Key West trip in the Tortugas. I love seeing the pictures. And hell, I usually screenshot them and send them to people. But sometimes it's, 3 days before I say, hey man, sorry, awesome trip. Looks like you killed them. Don't stop sending me that stuff. I know that sounds stupid. I'm terrible about responding a lot of times, but I enjoy it that I'm that easy to get a hold of, but not get a hold of at the same time. So I don't know. I just apologize for that. I feel like some people think I'm blowing them off, or man, he might not have, he might not want me to book them anymore or fish with them anymore. It's not that at all. I think it's so cool, and I'm very blessed that I have this many people that consider me a friend and still book me to go fishing. So that's about all I got, guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram. And on, you guys obviously got me on YouTube, but Facebook, on Instagram at Tight Splice Charters. Try to put little videos and clips on Instagram, trying to blow that up. And I don't know what my next video will be. I'm pretty much working until iCast. Any of you guys going to iCast, if you see me, say what's up. Me and Breezy will be there for 2 days. Just going to go hang out, kind of treat it as a little vacation. At least that's the plan. I believe we're going. That's the plan as of now. And I don't know if I'll get a video out between now and then. I think I did a little vlog last time. I don't think I'm going to do that. Especially if we bring the baby. It's just a little bit hard. So, I don't know. If I see any of you there, that'll be cool. We'll hang out. Maybe drink a beer. But until the next one, let me know what you guys thought of the podcast. Did I talk about too much nonsense? I kind of want to maybe start, being one of those people that if something happens in the sport, start talking about it. What I think of it. I'm a big fan of bass fishing and competitive bass fishing. I watch it. So there were some things that went on in some organizations over the past month I wouldn't talk about, but I didn't get to it this time. So maybe next time. But anyway, keep your lines tight. Wear your sunscreen. Drink plenty of water because it is disrespectfully hot outside. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Tight lines, and I appreciate you guys watching.